That's another thing it does after it warms up. Like right now it's drivable, you know, probably it smooths out after it warms up. But if I get in and put my foot on the brake at a certain point when it heats up, see it's idling like 2,000 RPM right now. Certain point I'll put my foot on the brake and it'll drop the idle down to like 1,000, which is what a lot of these do. But it's not a vacuum leak because I've gone through the whole vacuum system, and the brakes by all the tests, the brakes don't have a leak in them. But once the idle drops, and if the idle's dropping, the thermostat and the temperature control things, which I've tested also, they seem to be within range in their ohms when you put them in water and stuff. Those seem to all be functioning. Right there even, see it's not even completely wound up, warmed up, and I can put my foot on the brake now and it's starting to affect it kind of. It actually makes the idle go up a little bit instead of down. But once the idle gets down lower, it'll just drop it completely down, like it's going to shut the gas off almost. See, now I'm pushing on the brake. When I push on the brake, I have the brake push right now. Now when I release it, okay, now I'm pushing on the brake. And it's starting to do that after a certain temperature. It starts to do this up and down motion. I'm just holding my foot on the brake right there. And I've counted these before, and for some reason there's always 22 or 23 of them, and then it levels out until I put my foot on the brake again. And then it'll do another 22 or 23 of these. It's almost like the computer is trying to figure out something within 22 or 23 samplings. And the car's still warming up, so the idle's dropping still. I took my foot off the brake now. See, the idle's down to what, 1,600. It should be half of that. I put my foot back on the brake again. And in the wiring diagram for this truck, is a part of the circuitry is hooked into the brake pedal to determine if you're on the brakes or not. And so I cleaned all the wiring back to the stoplight and fixed all the grounds in there, cleaned everything up in the stoplights. Didn't seem to help anything. It's just up and down idling. I'll take my foot off the brake. And it'll still warm up a little bit more. Eventually it'll come down to about 1,200 RPM. But it won't change. I'm going to put my foot back on the brake. It won't change the way this does this. So when it's actually really warm and you're driving it on the road, if you step on the brake, then it almost dies because it goes down to the 700 idle or so that it's supposed to be. Also, I've resealed the idle control valve on the throttle body. I put a new seal on there, and I also adjusted it where it's supposed to be. It's not all the way closed right now. And I've driven the car, since I changed the battery, I've driven the car about 60 miles. So right now, that's warmed, it's not really doing that thing where it's starting for gas anymore. It only does that when it first starts up, or it does it if I took this and drove it on the highway someplace and went into a store and came out 10 minutes later. It would start fine, it would go about 1 minute, and then the gas would shut off. It would act like it's shutting off, and then after you try to start it for 3 or 4 times, the gas would come back on. See, the idle's still actually going down a little bit more. So I don't know, maybe the only other, when I tested the cold start time valve, that didn't test right within the ohm limit, so maybe I'm going to replace that. But it controls more, it controls the initial injector, the cold start injector. That's what it controls, and it's not, where I live, it's not cold enough to even need a cold start injector, but maybe it's messing something else up in the computer. My foot's back on the brake again now. Anyway, that's what I've been doing so far for a month on this thing. Have fun. Okay, so we got this cover back on now, and I'm not going to be taking that off again probably. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in here, remove the air intakes, and go back in and look at this cold starting valve that's down in here. I checked it once, so I want to check it again and make sure that it's not functioning. Last time it came up with not the right ohms, so I'm going to do another test on it. I had tested before this VSV valve here, and it had failed, so I replaced it with another one. So that part of that circuit's functioning now. Now I just have to get this cold start valve. I'm not sure why it would affect anything else on the running of the engine, but I want to try and get all the sensors working again. So I'm not going to show taking off any of this air stuff or anything. I'll probably just show the testing of that switch.